Good afternoon, all of you. So now we are going to discuss another important chapter, that is biotechnology and its applications. So already I give an introduction related to the topic biotechnology. So it is essential to deal, right? It is essential to deal large scale production of biopharmaceuticals and genetically modified organisms like plants, animals, bacterial members, and fungal members. So it is also includes diagnostics, therapeutics, genetically modified plants for agriculture. So recycling of bioremediation, it is nothing but a recycling, otherwise waste treatment, so energy production and processed food. Processed food. Right, and one more thing, there are three critical research areas. Right, in biotechnology, there are three critical research areas out there. In that, first one is providing best catalyst in the form of improved organism. Improved organism is nothing but genetically modified organism. Either it is microbe or enzyme. So what is the first critical research area in biotechnology? Providing best catalyst in the form of improved organism. Either it is a genetically modified organism or genetically modified host cell, right? So microbe or enzyme. Then second critical research area is creating optimum conditions to the catalyst, right? Creating optimum conditions to the catalyst to act, right? So optimum conditions means optimum pH, optimum temperature, optimum substrate, right? Vitamins, right? Like that, optimum conditions. So we need to create for the catalyst. The second critical research area. Third critical research area is obtaining desirable product by using downstream processing. Obtaining desirable product by using downstream processing. These are three important critical research areas in biotechnology, right? So now we are going to discuss biotechnology, its applications in agriculture, right? What are the applications or what are the uses in agriculture, right, by the biotechnology, right? So there are three important options for enhancing food production. For enhancing or increasing food production or crop yielding, we are using three options. What are they? So in that, first option is agrochemical based agriculture. What it is? Agrochemical based agriculture. Right? So what is agrochemical based agriculture? So see, in 1960s, crop production or food production increased, otherwise tripled by the Green Revolution. In 1960s, crop yielding tripled. Triple means increased. So in 1960s, especially in between 1960 and 63, the crop yield or production of grains tripled by the Green Revolution process. Green Revolution. So what is Green Revolution, sir? So dramatic increase or rapid increase of food grains by using plant breeding techniques called Green Revolution, right? So definition for Green Revolution: rapid increase or dramatic increase, rapid increase of food grains, or crop yield by using various plant breeding techniques called Green Revolution, right? So definition for Green Revolution: so dramatic increase of food grains or rapid increase of food grains by using various plant breeding techniques called Green Revolution, right? So that Green Revolution, due to Green Revolution, the crop yielding tripled in 1960s, right? Then, what is Green Revolution? Who coined the term Green Revolution at earlier? who is considered as father of green revolution? We'll see one word, right? So the term green revolution first given by the William Gott. The term green revolution first given by William Gott. Scientist name William Gott. Right? So the term green revolution given by William Gott. And who is considered as father of green revolution? Father of green revolution. Green revolution. So father of green revolution, Norman E. Borlaug. Scientist name Norman E. Borlaug. So why he is considered as father of green revolution? So why? Because he introduced semi-dwarf wheat varieties and semi-dwarf rice varieties for enhancing food production, right? So he introduced semi-dwarf wheat varieties and rice varieties, right? So that's the reason he is considered as father of green revolution, right? Total overall father of green revolution and total worldwide father of green revolution, Norman E. Borlaug. But same type of plants, semi-dwarf wheat varieties and rice varieties introduced in India by the M.S. Swaminathan. Hence, he is considered as father of green revolution in India. In India, right? See, father of green revolution in the world, Norman E. Borlaug. And father of green revolution in India, M.S. Swaminathan. M.S. Swaminathan. Why they are considered as fathers of green revolution? So because they introduced semi-dwarf wheat varieties and semi-dwarf rice varieties. So for enhancing food production. So that's the reason Norman E. Borlaug is considered as father of green revolution throughout the world, right? But in India, that same type of varieties, Mexican varieties like semi-dwarf wheat varieties and rice varieties introduced in India by the M.S. Swaminathan. Hence, he is considered as father of green revolution in India. In India, right? See, that green revolution increased crop yield, right? By the better management practices, through better management practices, through better management practices. So better management practices. And second one, by using high yielding varieties, high yielding varieties, by using high yielding varieties and better management practices. And one more thing, by using agrochemicals. Right? So that green revolution process triple the food supply, otherwise food grains. So by using high yielding varieties, large quantity of agrochemicals and better management practices, right? So due to the efforts of Norman E. Borlaug, that food yielding, otherwise crop yielding tripled, right? Through better management practices and high yielding varieties and agrochemicals. But in developing world, usage of large quantity of agrochemicals become expensive, right? So usage of agrochemicals become expensive, right? In developing world, uses of large quantity of agrochemicals, right, become expensive. And one more thing, it is also causes harmful effect on environment, right? It is also causes harmful effects on environment. How so? See, what type of environment, what type of environmental pollution caused by the agrochemicals? That agrochemicals causes soil pollution, air pollution, water pollution also, right? So whenever we're using huge quantity or large quantity of agrochemicals, so automatically it causes environmental pollution like soil pollution, water pollution, and air pollution, right? So that is the reason. So farmers shifted from agrochemical based agriculture to organic based agriculture, right? So we need to transfer, otherwise we need to shift from agrochemical based agriculture to organic based agriculture. So why? Because this agrochemical based agriculture causes environmental pollution, and that too it is expensive. That's the reason farmers shifted from agrochemical based agriculture to organic based agriculture, right? So second one is switch over organic agriculture. Organic agriculture. So second important one is organic agriculture. So what about organic agriculture? So, right? So it is also known as organic farming. Organic farming. Organic farming. So farmers using manure, organic manure for enhancing crop yield, enhancing soil quality here, right? So farmers using organic manure. Organic manure. Say organic manure is nothing but cattle manure, cattle waste or cattle manure, right? So farmers here using organic manure for enhancing soil quality and for enhancing crop yielding, right? For enhancing soil quality and crop yield. Right? So by enhancing crop yield and soil fertility, so farmers using organic manure in organic farming or organic based agriculture, right? So here no need to use of that chemicals. What type of chemicals? Agrochemicals, right? So here no need to use agrochemicals. And that too, it do not cause environmental pollution. So organic based agriculture do not cause environmental pollution. But these two methods, agrochemical based agriculture and organic agriculture, not sufficient to produce food grains for increasing population, right? So both organic based agriculture and agrochemical based agriculture not sufficient to produce, right, to produce grains or crop yield for increasing population. So that's the reason. So nowadays we are using third type of agriculture, that is genetic engineered agriculture. Is it clear? See, agrochemical based agriculture and organic agriculture not sufficient to produce, right? Not sufficient to enhance food grains or crop yield for increasing population, right? That's the reason nowadays we're using third type of agriculture, that is genetic engineered agriculture, right? What it is, we'll see. So note it down, these two concepts: agrochemical based agriculture, organic agriculture. So finally, what is the conclusion here? So these two methods not sufficient to increase crop yield for increasing population. Right? So what is green revolution? A rapid increase of food grains, a dramatic increase of food grains by using various plant breeding techniques called green revolution, right? So that green revolution tripled the crop yielding, right, in 1960s. Then the term green revolution given by William Gard. So father of green revolution, Norman E. Borlaug. Why he is considered as father of green revolution? He introduced semi-dwarf wheat varieties and rice varieties in Mexico, right? So hence he is considered as father of green revolution throughout the world, right? But same type of wheat varieties and rice varieties, right? That semi-dwarf wheat and rice varieties introduced in India by the MS Swaminathan. Hence, he is considered as father of green revolution in India, MS Swaminathan. Then, see that green revolution increased crop yield through better management practices, high yielding varieties, and agrochemicals. So whenever we are using huge quantity or large quantity of agrochemicals, all right, so it causes environmental pollution. And that too, in developing world, that uses of agrochemicals become so expensive, and that too, it shows some harmful effects. So that's the reason we switched over organic based agriculture, right? So organic farming, it is nothing but organic farming. So farmers using organic manure, cattle waste for enhancing crop yield. So in this method, no need to use agrochemicals and it do not cause environmental pollution. But both these agriculture methods are not sufficient to increase crop yield for increasing population, right? So that's the reason nowadays we are using another type of agriculture, that is genetic engineering based agriculture. So now come to third method. What it is third method? Genetic engineered based agriculture. Third method now. So genetic engineered based agriculture. Right. So what is genetic engineered based agriculture? So usage of biotechnology or genetic engineering methods. So for creating better yielding varieties. To create better yielding varieties or high yielding varieties, so we are using genetic engineering techniques or biotechnology techniques. Right, so we call it as genetic engineered based agriculture. For example, it is not possible to transfer the genetic material in between unrelated organisms by using traditional hybridization or conventional hybridization techniques. Right, so it is not possible to transfer. It is not possible. It is not possible. So it is not possible to transfer foreign gene. So foreign gene in between unrelated organisms. In between unrelated organisms. Is it possible? By using traditional hybridization technique, by traditional breeding, traditional hybridization technique, traditional breeding technique or traditional hybridization techniques. So it is not possible to transfer genetic material in between unrelated organisms by using traditional breeding techniques or conventional breeding techniques. So what are traditional breeding techniques or conventional breeding techniques? So they are nothing but old technique, right? So breeding in between animals, breeding in between plants by using old methods, right? Called traditional methods or breeding techniques, right? So it is not possible to transfer gene. It means what type of gene? Foreign gene or desirable gene in between unrelated organisms by using traditional breeding techniques or conventional breeding techniques, right? And one more thing. So by using conventional breeding techniques or traditional breeding techniques, it is also not possible to transfer foreign genetic material from prokaryotic organisms to eukaryotic organisms to prokaryotic organisms, right? So it is also not possible. It is also not possible to transfer foreign gene from prokaryote to eukaryotes. Otherwise, you can take it is also not possible to transfer gene from prokaryote to eukaryote. Prokaryotes to eukaryotic organisms. Eukaryotic organisms. So in the same way, it is also not possible to transfer genetic material from eukaryotic organisms to prokaryotic organisms by using traditional hybridization technique or conventional hybridization technique, right? It is not possible to transfer genetic material from prokaryotes to eukaryotes or eukaryotes to prokaryotic organisms. And one more thing, it is also not possible to transfer genetic material in between unrelated organisms I am using. So unrelated organisms are nothing but, so prokaryotes are different, eukaryotic organisms are different. So in between prokaryotic and eukaryotic organisms, it is not possible to transfer genetic material by using old techniques. But by using genetic engineering technique or biotechnology techniques, easily we will transfer the genetic material from prokaryotes to eukaryotes, eukaryotes to prokaryotic organisms. Right? So how so? We will see one by one. First, you can take genetically modified organisms, GMO. So what are GMOs? Genetically modified organisms, right? So plants, bacteria, animals, and fungal members whose genetic material altered by the manipulations called genetically modified organisms, right? So write down plants, definition for this: plants, bacterial members, fungal members, and animals whose genes are altered, genes are altered by the manipulations, So by the manipulations called genetically modified organisms. Is it clear definition for this? Then what is genetically modified organisms? So either it is plants or bacterial members or fungal members or animals whose genes are altered by the manipulations called genetically modified organisms, right? Then come to transgene again. What is transgene, sir? Transgene. So that foreign genetic material which is introduced into the host organism called transgene, right? So the foreign genetic material or desirable genetic material which is introduced into the host cell cytoplasm called transgene, right? So the gene which is introduced into the which is introduced into the host organism or host cell called transgene. So the genetic material which is introduced into the host cell cytoplasm called transgene. It is nothing but foreign genetic material or desirable genetic material, desirable gene or foreign gene. So the foreign gene or desirable genetic material, so introduced into the host cell cytoplasm of that genetic material is called transgene, right? That. And one more definition for this: transgenic plants. Transgenic plants. So what are transgenic plants or genetically modified plants? Genetically modified plants are transgenic plants, right? So plants with desirable characters created through gene transfer methods called transgenic plants, right? What are transgenic plants? So plants with desirable characters created, plants with desirable characters desirable characters created. Plants with desirable characters created through gene transfer methods. Through gene transfer methods. Through gene transfer methods called transgenic plants, right? So these three terms important: genetically modified organisms, transgene, and transgenic plants. All right. So by using genetic engineering or biotechnology techniques, easily will create desirable plants or required plants by the insertion of desirable gene or required genetic material. Right. So those plants or those crops are called genetically modified crops or genetically modified plants. So by using the genetically modified plants or genetically modified crops, easily we will enhance grain production. Easily we will enhance food grains, right? So what is genetic engineered based agriculture here? So once again I'm repeating. So genetic engineering based agriculture is nothing but usage of genetic engineering methods or biotechnological techniques for enhancing crop production or food grain production called genetic engineering based agriculture. Right here, it is not possible to transfer genetic material in between unrelated organisms. What are unrelated organisms? Prokaryotic organisms and eukaryotic organisms. Difference we know very well, right? So in prokaryotic organism, that genetic material not included by the well-defined nuclear membrane, right? It means well-defined nucleus completely absent in prokaryotic organisms. So well-defined nucleus present in eukaryotic organisms. So some more differences also we discussed in earlier classes in between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. And one more thing, so that prokaryotic genetic material not possible to transfer into the eukaryotic organisms by using traditional methods or traditional breeding methods. Correct? Conventional breeding methods or traditional breeding methods. But by using genetic engineering technique, it is possible. It is possible. So, for example, genetically modified organisms, what are they? So, plants, bacterial members, fungal members, and animals whose genes are altered by the manipulations called genetically modified organisms, right? And what about transgenes? The gene which is introduced into host cell cytoplasm called transgene. It is nothing but desirable genetic material or required genetic material, right? So that desirable gene or required genetic material is called transgene. Then transgenic plants. So plants with desirable characters. Plants with desirable characters or required characters created through gene transfer methods called transgenic plants, right? So these are three important options for enhancing food production or food grain production. So first one is agrochemical based agriculture. Second one is organic farming or organic based agriculture. Third one is genetic engineering based agriculture, right? So agrochemical based agriculture and second one organic based agriculture not sufficient to enhance food grains for increasing population. But what about third one, genetic engineering based agriculture, right? Advanced technique or advanced agriculture, right? Increased rapidly, right? Crop yield or food production or food grain production rapidly increased by the genetic engineering based agriculture, right? Advanced agriculture method it is, right? That. Note down the. So now come to advantages or uses of genetically modified plants. Right. So now come to another topic. What are the uses or what are the advantages of genetically modified plants? We will see. Note down point by point. So next one. Uses of genetically modified plants. Uses of genetically modified plants. Uses of genetically modified plants, GMP, genetically modified plants. So first application here is, first advantage is made crops are more tolerant to abiotic stresses. First point, made crops. Made crops are tailor-made plants. So tailor-made plants are made crops means so wantedly or purposefully we created desirable characters in that plant, right? So made crops, man-made crops. Made crops are more tolerant to abiotic stresses. More tolerant. Tolerant means resistant. Resistant to. Tolerant means here resistant to abiotic stresses. Abiotic stresses, right? So first important application that made crops or man-made crops are more tolerant or more resistant to abiotic stresses. So what are abiotic stresses? So cold conditions, extremely cold conditions. For example, you can take extremely cold conditions and drought conditions and saline conditions, then heat conditions, highest temperature conditions, right? So cold conditions means, so these plants can survive even in cold conditions also, cold areas or polar regions, right? And drought conditions, drought means waterless conditions. They also survive in waterless conditions. So saline conditions, saline means salty areas or salty conditions. So heat conditions means even in desert conditions also they can survive. So best example, basmati rice varieties, right? So that basmati rice variety is highly resistant to abiotic stresses. So what type of abiotic stresses? Cold conditions, drought conditions, saline conditions, and extremely heat conditions also they can survive, right? So best example for that is basmati rice. Better to take basmati rice example for this. All right, made crops are more tolerant to abiotic stresses. Then second application, reduced reliance on chemical pesticides. Reduced reliance on chemical pesticides. Chemical pesticides. Right? So reduced reliance on chemical pesticides means, so the reduced dependence on chemical pesticides, right? So these made crops or man-made crops are reduced reliance or dependence on chemical pesticides, right? So no need to use chemicals, no need to use fertilizers, no need to use pesticides for these plants, right? So example for this is pest resistant plants. Example, pest resistant plants. Pest resistant plants. Right? Done. Next one, these plants increased efficiency of absorbing mineral nutrients by the plants. Right? So increased efficiency efficiency of absorbing mineral nutrients by the plants. Mineral nutrients by the plants. So third application, that is increased efficiency of absorbing mineral nutrients by the plants, right? It means these plants absorbs more micro and macronutrients from the surrounding soil. So automatically they prevents early exhaustion of soil fertility. So they prevents early exhaustion of soil fertility. Why? Because so those mineral nutrients completely absorbed by the plants now. So after completion of lifespan, whenever it leads to death, it undergoes decomposition process and recycling of that nutrients into the soil surface, right? It means it increased efficiency of absorbing mineral nutrients by the plants. Which plants? Genetically modified plants. So it prevents early exhaustion of soil fertility. So how it prevents early exhaustion of soil fertility, sir? So because these plants absorbs more micro and macronutrients from the surrounding soil and they preserve that micro and macronutrients. But after completion of lifespan, that plant leads to death and it undergoes decomposition process. So in decomposition process, it recycles that nutrients into the surrounding soil as well, right? So it means it prevents early exhaustion of soil fertility. So this is third application, right? Then, so it prevents post-harvesting loss. So these plants prevents post-harvesting loss. Post-harvesting loss. Right. Next important application or advantage, that is post-harvesting loss. Right. So these plants, genetically modified plants or man-made crops, prevents post-harvesting loss. So for example, you can take Flavor Saver. It is a tomato variety, right? Genetically modified tomato variety. It is Flavor Saver tomato. So this Flavor Saver tomato is bruise resistant. That is suitable for storage and transportation to the long distances. So due to delay of ripening, ripening process, and due to high shelf life period, so easily we will store the tomatoes for a long time and easily will transport the tomato varieties from one area to another area. It means long distances, right? So what is Flavor Saver? It is genetically modified tomato variety. And that too it is bruise resistant. So what is bruise resistant? Bruise resistant means that condition provides high shelf life period and storage for long time, right? So genetically modified tomatoes are bruise resistant. It means that tomato supports storage and transportation to the long distances due to delaying of a ripening process. They also supports high shelf life period. Right? So write down here one point. So genetically modified tomatoes, these are Flavor Saver tomatoes. Then they are bruise resistant. That helps in storage and transportation to the long distances. The tomatoes helps in storage and transportation to the long distances due to delaying of ripening. Delaying of ripening process and supports high shelf life period, and it supports the tomato variety supports high shelf life periods, right? So whenever it delays ripening process, automatically the tomato varieties appears fresh, right? Fresh for long time. So it is suitable for transportation to the long distances. The tomato variety, flavor, savor, tomato, right? It means automatically they prevents post-harvesting loss, right? Third application, fourth application, so that genetically modified plants prevents post-harvesting loss. And one more thing, another application. Another advantage or application, they enhances nutrient quality. Another application, they enhances nutrient quality. So these points are related to flavor saver tomato, right? Right. So next come to another application, that is enhancing nutrient quality. This genetically modified plants enhances means increases nutrient quality. Nutrient quality. For example, if you take vitamin A enriched rice, so that vitamin A enriched rice is golden rice. Golden rice. What about golden rice? So they appears golden color, right? And that too, they're rich in vitamin A. Vitamin A enriched rice. These are vitamin A enriched rice. Vitamin A enriched rice, and they also prevents color blindness, right? They also prevents blindness or color blindness. Then, so three types of genetic material or genes involved in creation of golden rice. So how many genes involved to create golden rice? Three types of genes. Three types of genes involved in creation of golden rice. What are they? So, see, first one is Thai Pai rice variety genetic material. It is from Taiwan. Thai Pai, TAIPEI, Thai Pai rice genetic material, genes. Thai Pai rice variety genetic material, and second one is Erwinia bacterial genetic material. Erwinia bacterial gene. Erwinia bacterial gene, genetic material. Erwinia, ERWENIA, Erwinia bacterial genetic material. And third one, daffodils. These are yellow color flowers actually, daffodils. So daffodils, genetic material, gene. So totally how many genes involved in golden rice? Three types of genetic materials. So wanted, they are purposefully be inserted the desirable genetic material from the Erwinia bacteria, daffodils, right, inserted into Thai Pai rice variety embryo, right? So it means totally how many types of genes involved in creation of golden rice? Three types of genetic material. So Thai Pai rice variety genetic material, Erwinia bacterial genetic material, and daffodils genetic material. So why we inserted Erwinia bacterial genetic material into the Thai Pai rice variety embryos? So because that Erwinia bacterial genetic material increases vitamin A. And second one, daffodils genetic material increases beta carotene protein. Right? So that rice variety vitamin A is rich in what it is? Vitamin A enriched rice it is, and another one is beta carotene protein enriched rice, right? So golden rice is vitamin A enriched and beta carotene enriched, right? So totally three types of genetic material participates in creation of golden rice, right? Then it enhances nutrient quality. Application, another application, right? Then two more applications are there. So these genetically modified plants, otherwise genetically modification process helps to create pest resistant plants. Then insect resistant plants also. Two more points you have to write. It is also helps in the genetically modification process also helps in production insect resistant plants. Insect resistant plants. This also helps in production of that biotechnology or genetic engineering technique also helps in production of insect resistant plants. Example, BT cotton. Example, BT cotton. BT cotton. Right? Then next one. It is also helps in production of pest resistant plants. Pest resistant plants. Right? See here. So totally what are the advantages? What are the advantages of genetically modified plants here? So first one, male crops are more tolerant to abiotic stresses. So for example, cold stress, drought stress, saline stress, heat stress. Then second one, reduce the reliance on chemical pesticides. Example, pest resistant plants. And third one, increase the efficiency of absorbing mineral nutrients by the plants. Then next one, prevents post-harvesting loss. Example, flower saver. Then it enhances nutrient quality, golden rice. Then it helps in the production of insect-resistant plants. Example, BT cotton. It helps in the production of pest-resistant plants. Transgenic tobacco. For last point, you have to write example, transgenic tobacco. Transgenic tobacco. So these are the advantages of genetically modified plants. All right. Note down. Last 2 points of production of insect resistant plants. Example, BT cotton. Last point, production of pest resistant plants. Example, transgenic tobacco plant. Transgenic tobacco plant. So note down that advantages. Remaining info